It's a wet and rainy day here in Bandung, and I'm about to go outside my hotel and have a look around, see what's going on. Hopefully I can get some footage of what's really good about this place. I'm staying in this fantastic hotel. It's called Moxie. Pretty cheap. I think it costs probably about 700,000 a night, something around that price. It's not expensive, but the quality is really good. It's one of those big chain hotels. And I'm out into Bandung. For those of you who don't know, I lived here for 12 years and I'm back for the first time since I moved to Bali. So I'm having a bit of a wander around to see what's going on. It's Sunday today, and my expectation was there would be a car-free day on like there is in Bali over in Renon, which are really great cultural events here in Indonesia. I really love them. But because it's been raining, obviously it's been cancelled today, so I won't be visiting that. But one of the things about Bandung that's really interesting is that it is a culinary city. It is famous for its food, it's famous for its coffee, and I'm going to check a little bit of that out today. I'll have a bit of a walk around. Just a note on the weather. I've got to try and cross this road. Can I get across without getting run over? Yes, we can. We can go. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Okay. It's okay. It's okay. Susan's shouting out, it's red, it's red. This is Indonesia. We just take our chances. Okay, so just getting back to that weather story, Bandung is a cooler place than much of Indonesia is. Elevation 600, 800 meters above sea level. So today, for example, right now it's 22 degrees. It's actually a little bit cool. It's almost too cool to have a short sleeve shirt on, but not quite. Overnight it might have been. It's going to be a top of 25 today. So really pleasant weather, except for the rain. A note on the shirt I'm wearing, have a look at this. There's this collar thing that happens with this shirt. It doesn't really sit right. So it's frustrating. I'm going to be doing one of these ones all the time, trying to get it down. I could have used an iron, but that's a bit beyond me. The other thing is about this shirt. I bought it, well, Susan bought it online and from a place in Bandung, actually. She got it delivered to Bali, and now I'm back in Bandung with the shirt. It shrunk after I washed it a few times, so it feels like it's a size too small, even though it's an extra large. That one there is kembang tahu. That's like a soft tofu, where they dredge it in this ginger soup or sauce. Yeah, it's more like a soup rather than a sauce. It's a weird thing, but it tastes good. Pretty classic around these parts as well. Incidentally, Bandung is known, especially on the weekends, as being a very packed city with cars. It gets crowded, it gets traffic jams a lot. So one of the reasons I left the city is because of traffic being so bad at times. So you just sort of need to bear that in mind, that if you're getting around in a car all around the city in a day, on a Saturday, for example, it can take ages to get around. We normally get around on the back of a motorbike. If you don't want to do that, that's okay. You can still get, taxis and grabs and Gojek and all that sort of stuff. It's easy and cheap. It's actually probably slightly cheaper here than it is in Bali, to be honest. This place here is a place that I really love. It's called Maju. It's a coffee shop that, well, they've got like three or four different branches here in Bandung. And it was a place that I regularly came to when I lived here. Look at this place. Morning. Oh, it's not busy today. Got all these pastries here. And then this is the shop. Great coffee, great coffee. Let's say, they usually have a strong one and a not so strong one. Look at that one. Colombia Terra Huela. And then they've got a Sumatra Danau Delapan, 8 lakes. Not sure which one I'll have. Might try the Colombia one. Might be a bit more expensive, imported beans. So just a word on this name, Maju. It's a play on words a little bit, but what it means is, hey, let's progress. Like Maju means to move forward, but it also means to progress, depending on the context. A bit like in English, would have the word progress. Progress also means to progress, to move forward, like physically, but it also means to progress as in like modernize. Yeah, so it's a bit like the same word as that. You, normally spelled Y-U-K, means, hey, let's do this. Something along those lines. So, hey, let's go and progress. My coffee costs 36,000 for the imported beans. It's 33,000 for the non-imported beans, which is probably slightly below the cost that you'd pay in Bali for a coffee these days, especially if you're around sort of Legian and Seminyak or Canggu, much more expensive. This is just like the rest of Bali. Like you can pay just like you would there with your credit card, tapping and that sort of stuff, or cash, of course. But it's not, just because you're out of Bali doesn't mean it's like not advanced. It's probably more advanced than Bali. That is the coffee. I know it's going to be good, but let's check it out anyway. Beautiful. It's actually quite savoury. It's the savoury one, this one. The milk is just textured so well. It's really good. It reminds me of the Bandung I remember. Okay, time to move on from Yumaju. Going to find a bite to eat now. We'll just walk. And while I walk, I was actually thinking when I was in there, one of the things when I first did a trip outside of Bali into Java, I went to Yogyakarta, and I actually booked it through a travel agent a very long time ago when travel agents were a big thing. And the trip was like, basically you got your hotel and flights included, and then you were on your own once you got there. And when I got to Yogyakarta that first time, it was like culture shock, like you couldn't believe. It was scary. It's not that I was scared, but I had this really anxious feeling, a real nervousness. But I still made an effort to go and do things. And that sort of anxiety translated into excitement as well. But it's a fine line between this nervous excitement and this nervous scaredness. It's a really fine line, and it can turn negative really quickly. And I was thinking about that, for example, if you wanted to come to Bandung, how you might handle that for a first time outside of Bali. And I'm not sure what the correct answer is really, but you sort of have to have the right mindset first of all. You have to be going there knowing that it's not going to be like Bali. But you have to also go there with a mindset of, hey, I want to learn a few things, and it's not always going to be perfect, and it can be a little bit uncomfortable at times. That's okay. And if it all gets too much and overwhelming, I think I said it in my previous video, you can always head back to your hotel and go and get a nasi goreng from the hotel restaurant. Like, it's that easy. Also knowing, because not many other people do these sorts of trips, you can't sort of do a lot of research on the internet about where you're going to go, what you're going to do, what there is in that particular town. Like, for example, for Bandung, it's not really a town that you come and do things or look at things. There are things to do and see, but a lot of people come here just to experience the city, walk around, have a few snacks, and that's it really. So that also is a big... I nearly got run over here again. That's also the other thing about when you come on a trip. What do you want to go for? Do you want to go and see things? Because if you want to see things, there are things to see. Like, there's a bunch of museums here that are mildly interesting. There's a big volcano that you can drive to the top of. So you can get a car and a driver to drive you to the very top of the volcano and look into the pits of hell and see the steaming volcano. You know, there's no lava or anything, not usually. There is a huge white lake, which is really interesting. It's some sort of volcanic lake in a different area of town. There's tea plantations, there's coffee plantations. They are really interesting and they look good as well. So as far as things to see and do, there are things. But I like sort of just experiencing the place by walking around and dropping into places to eat and the coffee, having a chat to people. I guess you could mix it up with some of those little day trips, because there are drivers here that can sort of take you around like they might in Bali as well and do a little day trip. But also, yeah, having a few little places you can retreat to if it all gets too much is really important. So there are malls here where you can go and get any type of food that you want. You don't have to be eating street food all the time. And that means that once things get a bit too much, retreat to a mall. You can even get like good Indonesian food at the malls, but it's just maybe in an environment that's a little bit more familiar, you know. And I don't think that's a bad thing. You don't have to be going backpacker style to come to these places, or real local style. You can still do a modern version of Indonesia when you come to these places. And a lot of people from Jakarta that come to somewhere like Bandung, they may not be eating at all the street stalls. They might be going to malls. It's okay, it's not a big deal. That collar's coming up again, isn't it? This tree, look at this tree. Have a look at that. Susan's pointing it out. I didn't even see it, I was talking too much. Look at that thing. That tree is an amazing, amazing tree. There's a satay being grilled below it. That smoke, you can smell it as it wafts across. It's just got a great aroma to it. We're just on our way to get some food, which is Kupat Tahu. But while we're on our way here, I just wanted to show you that building. Look at that. Isn't that an amazing, amazing old building? And one side of it is an old shop, and then that side is a newer coffee shop. Yep. The building itself I really love. Around this area, this is an older part of town. There are just some great buildings. There's a building there with a tree right down the middle of it. These are old sort of shacks, some of them. That one there, Coffee Nook, or Suburb Coffee Nook. So there's lots of really good places around here. This is the Kupat Tahu that I'm going to have today. I've had it quite a lot. Kupat Tahu Gempol. So Kupat Tahu is one of those classic Bandung dishes. It's not, you wouldn't say it's original from Bandung, but it's associated with Bandung and West Java. And we know that because Bandung and West Java has what's known as some of the best tofu in Indonesia, that means that the Kupat Tahu, and Tahu means tofu, is some of the best in Indonesia when it's here. Now, it's very similar to the dish in Bali called Tipat Tahu, but there are a few key differences. The one here obviously uses tofu from Bandung, which is nicer. It uses sweet soy sauce in there a little bit, and sometimes you even get a bit of lesser galangal in the peanut sauce. The peanut sauce in Bandung is usually thicker than the one in Bali. So a similar dish, and some people might say, it's just the same, but it's not, it's quite different. Now, this is a specialty of this region. So if you come to Bandung and you want to try some local food, this is good. It's not weird. So the components are generally, I'll show you, are generally like this. So I'll sift through it. So it's got this yellow tofu, yeah, local tofu, and then it's got bean sprouts, then it's got the rice crackers on there, and then it's got this, yeah, ketupat, compressed rice, very much similar to lontong, but a different shape. So the rice is just compressed into a rice cake. You can see the peanut sauce there, yeah, quite thick and luscious. It probably has a bit of sweet sauce in there, soy sauce in there as well, and that tofu is quite soft. So let's check it out. Such good flavour, such great flavour. Amazing. And honestly, I think this is a dish that almost anyone's going to enjoy. It's not weird, it's not spicy, it's great flavour and quite normal. Like, it's a vegetarian dish as well. There's no meat in there. You're not going to get sick from it. It's just so normal. That's what I really love about it. I'll give you a look around this little place as well, where I'm sitting. That's the scene, yeah? We're in the little side area. There's a little staircase up there. And then the main part of the restaurant is through that little area there. It's brilliant. And there's some dude selling something on the side here. I'm not sure what that is. He's got a coconut going. He's got some sweet condensed milk there as well. So all sorts of stuff happening around here. So that's what the place looks like. Real proper warung. I mean, they don't call it a warung, but it is. It's a real proper warung, you know, old school. And it's so popular with people. Food's fantastic. And, you know, it's just so normal, you know. I just think that most people are going to love that. So if you do end up coming to Bandung at some point, you have to go there. All right, let's keep walking. This guy's selling permen jahe. That's like, candy. Yeah, candy. That's right, candy. Good translation. That's ginger. And I think it's that crystallized candy. You know those candy thing, or sweets or lollies. Yeah, coated in sugar. All around this area are these old houses. I think, from the size of them, they look to be sort of 1930s style Dutch houses. There's one there, it's been turned into a shop. There's one on the corner there as well. And you can tell by the architecture, like for example, that roof on that thing is a really steep pitched roof, lots of stonework as well. And usually what you'll find is that the foundations are all made out of rock and concrete, really solid foundations. And that one has been preserved beautifully. Another old building, that one's been renovated quite nicely too, but into a modern style, but all the foundations of it are still very original, and yeah, it's got the old shutters on there and that sort of stuff, steep pitch roof. This whole area actually in the centre of Bandung, this is sort of like the Dago area in the southern end of Dago. This whole area, it's just so many Dutch houses around here, old Dutch houses. It's where all the Dutch used to live back in the day. I mean, the thing is, here in Bandung, the history of the Dutch is quite interesting. It was colonised by the Dutch, this place, but not really as a country, because it wasn't really there was no country before the people arrived. They sort of conquered empires and were very extractive in their behaviour. And over the years, it turned into less of a colonial type thing, but more of an apartheid type thing. That's what it really was. And the separation between the locals and the Dutch was just profound. And that's where the great resistance came in, is because the people who were really benefiting from the wealth extraction were white people and not locals. That said, a lot of the white people here probably didn't really feel it so much. And there was often a lot of intermarrying and intermingling between white people and local Indonesians. And when those people had kids, they were called Indo. The kids were called Indo. They were mixed race people, and they had higher status than the local people, but they weren't quite the white level, you know what I mean? They were always in between. When the colonialism ended and Indonesia gained its independence, those people that were half-half were caught in between worlds. They were not Indonesian, but they were not Dutch either. And a lot of them sort of ended up either moving back to the Netherlands, a country that they'd never been to before, so going to the Netherlands and trying to start a new life in a new culture and really finding it difficult, or they stayed on here in Indonesia and tried to find a new life here where their status wouldn't take them as far as it used to do under the old colonial system. Quite interesting. I mentioned it briefly earlier that one of the key areas, or one of the popular areas here in Bandung, is called Dago. It's a long strip of like a suburb almost in Bandung, and it's quite popular. It sort of heads up the hill from the station area or the train line area right up into the hills. And there's lots of great hotels along here, lots of good food. It's just a nice area of town. And I think it sort of serves as a good place if you're going to stay at a place like Bandung, sort of explore, a base to explore the rest of the town from. I'm staying in Dago at the southern end, at a place called Moxie, which is part of the Marriott hotel chain group. And then if you go further up, I mean, there's some really great 5-star hotels along this road. This main road here, it's called Jalan Dago unofficially. I think that was the old name. These days I think they call it Jalan Juanda. But you know, most locals will know it as Jalan Dago, the road that goes through Dago. There you go, a little sign that says Dago. Beautiful. Hello.
Hi.
So that's the story. We're in Dago. That flyover over there is interesting. I used to go along that quite a lot when I used to go running around this area. I used to be flying along there. I'll be going probably, I don't know, 90, 100k an hour on a motorbike across that. A bit rough and ready, but it's pretty fun because this city is a city where you don't get a lot of speed up. Even when there's not a lot of traffic around, the roads are quite narrow here in Bandung, so you never really go that fast. Not like Bali. I find in Bali you often get a lot of speed up. And I think even people generally drive a lot faster in Bali than they would here. I don't know, maybe it's just a cultural thing. And the other thing about it is here is that people don't really respect the rules as much. It's a little bit more drive as you feel. So the driving culture is totally different to what it is in Bali. Bali I find to be a little bit more organised, and that might sound a little bit unbelievable that it can get more chaotic than Bali, but it actually does. But what it means is that you go slower and you feel a little bit safer. The thing about Bali is that sometimes it's quite unsafe because you're going fast, and if someone doesn't follow the rules, you're in trouble. Whereas here, very rare to get into trouble because you're usually just going so slow. I remember back in 2011 when I first arrived here in Bandung, I was up somewhere around here changing the public transport from one to another. I was going somewhere. And when I got off the first Angkot, I noticed that along this area here, the road was blocked off and there was a lot of smoke and a big crowd watching. And what was happening around this area here was that there was a tawuran, a big sort of brawl between two rival schools. And it was quite incredible. You know, these 17, 18-year-old kids who had cars and motorbikes, and one group had attacked another group, and they had big sticks, and there was a big standoff, and there was cars being burnt and tyres being set on fire. Just a big brawl. I thought there was some sort of government protest or something, but it was nothing of the sort. It was just two rival groups having a massive fight. And that was sort of my introduction to Bandung. But interestingly, since that time, I haven't actually seen a brawl like that since. I have seen a few other things going on here, political demonstrations for sure, and sometimes if the local football team loses, or if if the local football team plays the football team from Jakarta and the local football team supporters see a car from Jakarta, they might like smash it up. I've seen that before. There are all sorts of different weird things that go on with football supporters. They are so passionate. There's actually a fantastic ABC special, I think it might have been Four Corners special on football in Indonesia and how it's a deadly sport to be a supporter of because of how fanatical people are. It's a brilliant insight into the heart of the passion of supporters of Indonesian football. Amazing, amazing. Just one of those weird cultural things that you get here in Indonesia. And there's so many of those threads running through daily life here in Indonesia that you may not otherwise see. That one, amazing. The journalist on that one was David Litson, and he was a great representative for the ABC over here in Indonesia. Really got to the heart of a lot of the stories here in Indonesia. He actually took over eventually from a guy by the name of Adam Harvey, who also had an absolute passion for the country, despite just being chucked in here and told to learn everything on the ground. And he did a really good job too of exploring all the stories here in Indonesia. You might notice that I'm actually walking uphill at the moment. This hill goes for many, many kilometres as a gentle slope right up into the northern hills of Bandung, and it eventually gets to about 1,000 metres above sea level, where it gets quite a lot more undulating, and there are a few massive volcanoes across there. The main one being, or the most famous one being, a volcano by the name of Tangkuban Parahu. And it's Parahu is a Sundanese word. In Indonesian it's Perahu, and it means boat. Tangkuban means upturned. And what it represents is that volcano, when you see it from afar, and you don't see it so much here in Bandung anymore because there's so many big buildings, but if you get on top of a building and you can see far, you'll see that the shape of the volcano is like the bottom of an upturned boat. So it sort of goes up like that. It's really flat on top and then slopes down the other side. That is a famous volcano that's up in that area. I think it's about 2,000 metres above sea level or something like that. Another nice old colonial building there. Not sure what it's being used for. Looks like it's got some hospital parking over there at the moment. I'm going to turn back, go to my hotel, have a bit of a rest, come back out in the afternoon and show you a little bit more around Bandung in a different area where I've got to go and catch transport to get there. That's sort of what it's like here in Bandung. It is a fairly large city. It's nothing like Jakarta, but it's not a place where you can walk absolutely everywhere. You sort of stop off in an area, walk that area, and then go to another area, walk that area. Oh, that's a cute cat. Oh, hello. Oh, you're cute. Oh. Hang on. Bunting my camera. Yeah, lots of cats here too. So cute. I could explore this for weeks and weeks and weeks and still not be content, actually. Well, that's a little bit of a trapdoor. Look at that. That's your footpath. You know, it's just, for me, so interesting. I think I've got a little bit of an advantage because I've got some of the cultural background, and that really does help a little bit. And I sort of have an idea of what I'm looking for and looking at. But even as a newcomer here, I think there's a lot to sort of discover if you've got that adventurous spirit. It makes you work for it though. It's not like you just roll up and you allow it to come to you. I mean, in Bali, everything's so easy. It's a little bit different here when you get outside of Bali. You know, you've got to work for your enjoyment. And I think if you do have a bit of an adventurous spirit and you enjoy seeing old architecture, you enjoy trying a little bit of local food, it's just an amazing, amazing place to come and explore. I'm going to have another bite to eat. So the sort of food that I like to eat in Indonesia is a little bit snacky. Well, it's a proper meal, but it's not like full. And if you want to have lots of different things, it's quite okay to do that because the meals are not massive. So the next place I'm going to is called Lotek Mahmud. It's pretty famous. It's an old school place in a back street. Lotek Mahmud. And I want to show you the meal that I normally have. The funny thing is, when I think about it, it's quite similar to what I've already had today, but it doesn't matter because it's good and you have to have it when you're here in Bandung. You can see over here, lots of different things going on. This guy's making cakwe at the moment. Little fried donuts. Cakwe, look at that one, eh? He's making all of those, all the layers. Mantap ya, Pak.
Makanan khas Indonesia.
Oh, lots of fresh fruit going on there. Beautiful. And this is the warung here. This is the place. It's changed a little bit since I was here last time. This used to all be seating for people, but now, the woman over there saying, "Oh, this is a bule filming for YouTube." That's true. It's a bule filming for YouTube. So the thing is here, you can see here all the different raw veggies and raw foods they've got, which they're making into all the different dishes they've got up there. They've got lotek, gado, nasi rames, nasi lengkod. There's lots of different ones, which if you don't know what they are, it gets a little bit difficult. But the one I'm having today is nasi lengkod, which I really enjoy. Peanut sauce, a few veggies, it's got tempeh, I think it's got, this is lontong. I'll just show you what it's like when it comes out. Because a lot of these things are so similar to one another with all the peanut sauce and the tempeh and tofu and veggies and all that sort of stuff. And there are like so many different variations of it. But I'll show you this one that's beautiful. Yeah. Okay. So this is nasi bakmoy. This is like rice with a bit of a soup in there with pork. And then it has some other bits and pieces of toppings on there. It's got tofu on there as well. I'm just going to try it out. I'm not a big fan of soupy rice normally, but Susan always gets this one, so we'll just try it out. I'll try the liquid first. So it's a sweetish liquid. It's quite a bit of savoury in it as well. Really good flavour, really good flavour. Most people are going to love that. It's quite a good Indonesian dish. So that one's nasi bakmoy. This one is nasi lengkod khas Cirebon. Khas Cirebon means it's a specialty of Cirebon, which is a city which is on the border of West and Central Java. Cirebon is another one of those cities that has amazing, amazing food, and you can always go to Cirebon and get something nicer. You can see in there, we've got bits of tempeh, and it's quite, I don't know if it's not fried, it could be fried. I think it is fried. So good. There's rice in there. I think sweet soy. You got bits of that yellow tofu again. You got these crackers smashed all on top. You got cucumber, which is a classic one. And then you've got fried shallots on top. And then the peanut sauce, which is the classic part of this dish, all mixed together with your bean sprouts. And then the most significant part of this dish is the chives. Now, I don't really care about the chives too much, but apparently that's the thing that makes it khas, you know, the special one. But I don't care about that. I just love everything all mixed together. It's just brilliant, brilliant flavour. It's just so good. I think tempeh can quite often be boring, but when it's in this, it's just beautiful. And the sort of flavours I'm tasting, I've got all the different textures going on. The crunchiness of these crackers. I've got the veggies in there with a bit of crunch on them. I've got the rice, and I've got the soft tofu, and I've got the saltiness of a lot of these things, as well as the sweetness of the sweet soy, which is in there somewhere. One of the classic things that you'll always get in an old school warung is they'll give you a complimentary glass of tea. It's never got any sugar in it when it's a complimentary glass of tea. If you ask for a tea with sugar in it, like they're going to charge you for it, like 10,000 or something. But these complimentary ones in the old school warungs, always free. I love it. One of the things about these warungs that I really love, the old ones, is that they're still doing the things they used to do in the old days. Well, they were always good, but today we've sort of cut them out. That's a bit disappointing, I think. Really love that place, but I also love the little housing complex that it's in. This is fairly typical of Bandung, especially in the older parts of town. The housing complexes look like this. As you get further out into the burbs, they're a little bit more modern. They have a similar feel to them, but they're just not as old, and they don't have as much character as these ones do. Like, I just look at all the buildings around here, and there is loads of character on them, loads of character. The newer housing complexes, not as much character, but a similar sort of setup. You have narrow roads like this with, you know, everyone's got a front gate like that, and usually they have a small little front yard that they don't have too much grass on. They'll put plants out there and maybe concrete it. That's pretty typical here in Bandung. Hey! So the place I've ended up here right now is called Noah's Barn Coffeenery. It's on Jalan Garuda. It's quite a long way out of the centre of town, and it's the first modern coffee shop in all of Bandung. The first one that I would consider to have international standard coffee. It's the one that started the whole scene here in Bandung, in my opinion. I believe it to be true though. 2012 was when I first came here. That's when it opened. And the coffee there at that time was just brilliant. And ever since that time, I've always come back to this place time and time again just to keep my barometer right, you know, like to make sure that what I was sort of assessing things on back then was still right. And to this day, it is still a magnificent coffee. Now, the owners of the place, they lived in Australia for quite a while in Melbourne, and they did a bit of barista work down there and that sort of stuff. So when they came back to Bandung, they said, you know what? I'm going to start up a coffee shop. I think one of the owners has actually moved back to Australia now with his kids. You know, these are people who have got dual connections. So they've got residency in Australia, long-term residency in Australia. They've got businesses here or family here, and they can dip their toes in both societies quite easily. So let's check out Noah's Barn Coffeenery. I hope it's as good as it always was. Oh, hello. We've got a dog. Hello. 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 Oh, it's okay. So this is the place. It's pretty cool, eh? Still love this place. Okay. Look at it. This, in the old days, used to be really busy, always really busy, because it was one of the original and one of the best. But what's happened sort of, I've noticed throughout Indonesia over the past 10 years or so, is that people tend to want to visit places that are viral, that are popular on Instagram. I think we do it in the West as well, but particularly in Indonesia, what I find happens is that there's a bit of a boom and bust cycle. So it's very difficult for a place to survive unless they keep reinventing themselves. This place has survived by doing just good coffee, but a lot of places will do something that sort of grabs the attention, and then in 6 months they're gone because people are sick of it, you know? Now this is one of the long-term ones, and that's because the coffee's just so great. That's my coffee. That is a very shiny one. They always do the milk so well here. The shine on the milk I really love, and then you know that it's got that real creaminess to it. Okay, let's check it out. After all these years, is it still as good? It looks good. It is good. It's still a good coffee here at Noah's Barn. Love it. It's interesting when you compare some of these coffees to the one in Bali. The ones in Bali are very good, and this is up there with, you know, for example, in Sanur, this would be up there with some of the best in Sanur for sure. Yeah, if Noah's Barn opened in Sanur, they'd do good business on coffee alone. Really love Noah's Barn, and I've really enjoyed showing you around today, just a little bit of what daily life here is like in Bandung. You know, everything from the food that's on offer, the coffee that's on offer, what the streets look like. Like there's even these little old Dutch houses across the road here, which is quite a long way out of the centre of town. I just enjoy sharing this part of the world with you because it's not a place that a lot of foreigners get to view and get to sort of delve into a lot. And I really hope that it encourages some of you out there maybe to come here one day and check it out for a few days. It's not that hard to get to, and it's enjoyable. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all things Sanur, the rest of Indonesia, a bit of West Java. I'll catch you next time, and sampai jumpa.